Well, from boys to men, yan ang transformation na naganap para sa ADMU Blue Eagles na nag-mature quickly under their coach Tab Baldwin. Ang maturity na yan at teamwork ang nagbigay sa Blue Eagles ng edge para matalo nila ang Salle Green Archers sa katatapos lang na UAAP Finals. Coach Tab now joins us in the studio to tell us about their amazing journey to the title. Coach Tab, welcome to The Score. Thanks for joining us and congratulations.
Thank you, TJ.
How are you
Great to
feeling?
be here again. I feel great. I feel, I guess some relief, ready to rest.
Okay.
It's been a long year, but very, very happy for my players.
It's been an amazing last 24 hours pretty much for you guys. I guess it's a whirlwind of emotions. Has it sunk in for you? You woke up this morning. What's the feeling like?
Yeah, I think it has.
Okay.
I think it has. I was really looking forward to watching the replay of the game,
Okay.
just to experience it from a different angle.
Right.
I did that
Yeah.
today.
Okay.
And I think in doing that, I was all by myself. I laughed.
By yourself? That's,
Oh, yeah.
That's a different experience.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool.
I wanted to do that,
Nice.
and I laughed. I laughed at my players' reactions. I laughed. I laughed at the pressure. I just enjoyed it, and I think I allowed it to sink in and realize the magnitude of the accomplishment for the players.
Awesome. I mean, you guys have had an incredible journey. Let's start from last year, Coach. You came in for season 79, and people had said you surprised them by making the finals. Were you surprised? Were you guys personally surprised that you made it that far?
Yeah, I think I was a little bit. I think by the time we got there, maybe not.
Okay.
But after a 4-4 start, and kind of bumbling our way to figuring out how we wanted to play, and once we started winning and got on a roll, then I think getting past FEU was tough, as it was this year.
Same again this year. Yeah.
But yeah, that hurdle we believed was achievable. LaSalle was, that sort of mountain in the distance, and we had beaten them handily in the second round. But we knew the playoffs were a different animal.
Story,
but we still believed. But they, with their experience and with the system they have, they taught us a lesson in the playoffs, and I think we learned that lesson reasonably well.
What were those lessons, Coach Tab? Obviously, you gained some confidence, a big boost of confidence that you realized you could go that far and you could contend for the title already. But what were some of those key lessons that you think you learned and you were able to implement that in that timeline? If you have a very long off season for the UAP, and I guess it's a blessing for a coach.
It is.
It's an amazing experience to have that. And what were those things that you were able to plant those seeds throughout that off season?
I think it's a blessing for a coach that believes in preparation.
Yeah.
And I certainly believe in preparation. We were able to identify areas of weakness. So we didn't so much gain confidence from being in the finals the year before. I think we gained an understanding.
Okay.
And with that understanding, we went to work. And we knew, first of all, we weren't physically capable of matching up with LaSalle. They literally could bully us. I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm saying that in the way that they should, and they do to many teams.
Yeah.
They're just physically superior. So we got in the weight room, first of all, first thing. Second, we knew we had to play against pressure much better than we did. We couldn't turn the ball over, and I think our 12 turnovers in Game 3 was the final straw, after turning it over 21 times in Game 2 and being so frustrated by that. We finally got to where we were able to implement all of the lessons we had been learning through the UAAP and the games with LaSalle and understand that you've got to be able to attack the pressure. And I think those two things were what we centered our training on in order to say that we're capable of winning a championship.
I mean, obviously, when UAAP teams are able to excel in those things, then you become an elite, because it's tough to have kids, sometimes young teams, really handle that pressure and the physicality of the game. Well, Coach, one thing that a lot of people have always praised you and your system this last 2 years is how you've been able to improve these players. Bluntly said, some of these players were not blue chip recruits as compared to some of the other schools, how they had some blue chip recruits, but you've been able to squeeze so much out of each and every one. And what's the magic with that, Coach? How are you able to do that in such a short span of time?
I think it starts with the fact that we believe in homegrown talent for the most part.
Yeah.
So we get kids that are really dedicated to the Ateneo. And, that's, if you're a potter, you want the right kind of clay to work with. We have the right kind of clay to work with from the mental standpoint.
Yeah.
Physically, it needs work. Skill-wise, it needs work. The second thing, our coaching staff, and we have a big, which I've never had before, we have a big coaching staff and a very talented coaching staff. We got together and decided that we wanted our program to be player-based and not results-based.
Okay.
So we said our goal is to help our players realize their dreams, their ambitions. So we work to develop our players. It's as simple as that. We focus everything on skill development and understanding of the game and being able to play the game in a broad variety of ways. We really teach the European way, to be honest.
Okay.
And I think we see the fruits of that, because our belief is that if you develop your raw materials, the results will take care of themselves.
Okay.
So our focus is very much player-oriented, and that's why you see the development of the players. And our coaching staff, the assistant coaches I have, are in great part responsible for that development.
I agree, and they deserve so much credit as
They
well.
do.
So are you trying to, is it safe to presume, Coach, that when you came into the season, you didn't put on the whiteboard, our goal is a championship?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. Our goal, one of our goals was to be able to play 5 independent offensive systems, all different from one another, all patterned on existing offensive systems from around the world, because that's what these players need when they go on to the next level. They need to understand the game from a variety of angles. The offshoot benefit of that, of course, is that we have a variety of ways of attacking different defenses.
Yeah.
Now that's sort of a sideline benefit, and that's part of the design. But it's not easy, because you don't become proficient in any one. You sort of become a good in all things, but a master of nothing.
Right, right.
And we suffered from that at times, but we will continue with that progress because, or I should say that process, because we believe that ultimately these players after 3, 4, 5 years will become masters of many things. And that will make them very difficult to beat.
And the time element makes it interesting, Coach, because you got these guys only for 4 or 5 years. So it's not like you have a professional team wherein you've got a maximum, or an average of 8 to 10 years on their career. So does that add pressure in terms of the time that you have to develop them?
I don't think so. I don't think so. As many U.S. college coaches will say, as opposed to the professional coaches, they'll say 3, 4, 5 years, players have heard your voice enough. So it's good that they're moving on, good they're progressing to the next level. And certainly we have had to teach and talk so much that I think the timeline may actually be a little bit shorter, that these players will have gleaned what they can and be ready to move on.
One thing we are so fascinated hearing about you is when Marty gives her courtside updates, and she loves to quote your quotes. And it's not to say that you don't do your job in X's and O's, but one thing that's consistent that we've heard from you is that you like to preach excellence, and in every single one of them. And I remember one of the coaches said was, I want you to try hard, but I'm paraphrasing your coach, but I want you to be excellent in trying your best, or something like that.
That's correct.
Talk about that, Coach, in terms of, some coaches can get lost in the details, the X's and the O's and this and that, but you still have some time and some perspective to push them in that direction, and saying you got to be excellent as an individual because it'll make us better.
Well, we absolutely believe being lost in the detail, but it's the different detail. It's how you hold the basketball when you shoot it. It's how high you dribble it. It's how your feet are positioned when you're sliding on defense, et cetera, et cetera. This is the detail that makes the player.
Yeah.
The player makes the play.
Right.
So if you don't have good players, I don't care how good your X's and O's are, they won't work.
Of course.
My greatest frustrations with this team don't come when I see my very good basketball players making bad plays. Of course that's frustrating. But my frustrations come when I see the players that I believe should be better than what they are not being as good as they are. And I really believe it comes back to the quote that you just said. I don't think they're trying to be excellent hard enough. So this is where I focus my attention. Some of the players that you might not even say their name once or twice a season, I want them to be much better than what they are. I want them to push the 30 Ravennas and the Aaron Blacks and the Isaac Goes and the E.K. Chukwuezes. I want them to push them harder for the sake of competition, but also for the sake of their own development, their own career, their own dreams. We can't help them fulfill their dreams if they don't dream hard enough. And so, that's where I really believe that I'm meant to work as a coach, and as I said, the X's and O's. 35 years, I know the X's and O's. They'll be okay. But developing players is a never-ending task.
I know you don't like singling out certain players. I remember you interviewed Christian yesterday, how you refuse to say who's a star, who's not. But if there's one interesting case that I'm able to follow since last year, is Gian Mamuya, because he selflessly understood he had to take a year off and stay with Team B. And during that time, I saw him block Steph Curry in Taiwan, by the way. And then he came in this year, didn't have so much playing time right away, but he eventually got much more time in your system, in your rotation. Talk about a guy like Gian and what that kind of message gives to kids out there who are dreaming to be great, collegiate athletes.
Well, there's a few kids I don't mind talking too much about, and he's one of them because, you know, he's a poster boy for humility. He's incredibly humble, and we have a few like that, but you know, he's certainly one of them. And our coaches, the coaching staff, often joke that, you know, he just has no idea how good he really can be, and even how good he is right now. He's still very, very young, 18 years old, you know, and he has a huge future ahead of him. He's physically built for the game. The long arms, the quick feet, the quick hands, and he has a very sharp basketball mind as well. You know, he gets the game. The game was made for him. So his upside is huge. There's things, obviously, he has to work on, his shot, his handles, his strength, his physical strength. But innately, he was made for the game, and he was made for any style of basketball because, A, he's a tremendous defensive player instinctively, and offensively, he has this great physical gift built on quickness and great hands. So this is a kid that has a big upside. We've got to teach him how to shoot the ball better. We've got to teach him how to read the game better. But you know, so much is already there in place. He's gonna feature more, I suspect, and I think the sky's the limit for the kid. Interesting.
Well, Coach, to wrap this up, you've had an interesting journey here in the Philippines, from coming in as a consultant with Talk and Text, your time with the national team with Gilas and Ateneo. What was it like? I mean, when you looked around yesterday and you saw the crowd, you thanked the crowd, and I asked you before we got on air, the only time you've been in a massive crowd like this of that intensity was in Lebanon, but it wasn't 22,000 people. Talk about that, and what's it like to coach in a situation like this, which is very unique all over the world, that you don't have a split arena where you have two teams slugging it out the whole game and they're just standing the whole time and cheering their lungs out the whole time.
Look, I can honestly say, TJ, that throughout my career, you know, I've coached in empty stadiums, I've coached in full stadiums, but I've never heard or felt the crowd. Never. It's something that, so a crowd of 22,000 is no different to me than a crowd of, you know, 2,000, you know, that are loud and you know that they're there, except for game 2. And I don't know why. The uniqueness of that game, the, you know, blowing a 21-point lead, the pressure of LaSalle, feeling the brunt of LaSalle's mayhem defense, and LaSalle being the best they could be after I think, were the best that we could be. But once that game started to flip-flop when it got close, I could actually hear one side of the crowd, you know, elate, and then go quiet, and hear the other side elate and then go quiet. And I don't know why, but it's the only time I can say that I've ever felt the crowd until, you know, after Game 3. I certainly felt the crowd then.
Well, okay, at this point, a lot of the fans are already eager. For sure, the alumni, they're like, what's it like going to be like next year? How good will Ateneo be? Can you target a back-to-back title? They're always hungry for that. What's your message to the community for next year?
I'm never one to predict. I think they should be optimistic. I think they should be hopeful, and I don't ever shy away from the weight of expectation. It's there from the powers that, you know, support the team, and from a fan base like we have, an alumni like we have. So, you know, go crazy. Expect everything and want everything. Push us to be the best we can be, but understand that internally we will be doing that to a degree that they can't even imagine, because this is who we profess to be, and we want to live up to our word. All right, and we can't wait to see you guys back on the court and try and do it all over again. Coach Tab, congratulations. Enjoy it. We'll see you again soon. Thank you.
For more sports updates, keep watching The Score, and don't forget to subscribe.